Hello and welcome to Cannes and the Prestige 520, and we have quite a unique opportunity because we're going to stay on board the boat tonight, and tomorrow we're going on a cruise to take in some of the hot spots that the Côte d'Azur has to offer. We're going to sleep on board, use the bathrooms, use the galley, eat on board tomorrow, and generally hope to use the boat as a potential owner would, and you're going to come along for the ride. Opportunity to have a quick look around the boat then, so we'll start aft here where you have your access to the crew cabin. It's a single berth down there and a separate loo. You can have it just as storage if you want, but you might as well have the berth and then you've got it. Moving to the cockpit, something that Prestige has managed to do on the 520 is to work in access to the port side deck here. You've got L-shaped seating, but you can easily get round to the port side deck, which is really nice, and access this side is great. Bulwark gate 2, which makes getting on and off when you're side 2 a lot easier. And then we walk into the saloon, engine access below my feet here, and you have a familiar Prestige layout. Aft galley works really well. It means that you can serve the cockpit as easy as you can, the internal living spaces. You might argue that this unit is in the way a bit, but it does afford you some extra storage, which is always useful, and great to have full-size fridge freezer on a boat this size as well. Separate access down to the master cabin, familiar Prestige trademark, more of that later. You have a bit of dedicated storage here for some of your glassware. Bit of a step up here in midships, but that does mean that when you're up here, you really get the benefit of these huge windows. They go right down to deck level, and when you're sat down in the seats, they are quite low backs, long bases, a little bit uncomfortable, but you have got a fantastic view out from here. This table's adjustable, so it can be coffee table mode like this, but it also raises up and folds out, so you can have more of a dining table setup. The side door, that's great for crew, means that they can very easily get out without disturbing the skipper. But of course the skipper can't nip out quite as easily because it's not alongside the helm. Also means you can't ventilate the helm. So two sides there with the location of that door, but it's nice to have it. And then below decks we have the guest accommodation. We're going to look at that now. So the guest accommodation on the 520, you have your VIP cabin here in the bow, big double bed, you can walk around both sides. There's also scissor action, so you can turn it into two singles if you prefer that. Plenty of headroom in here. Room to sit up in bed and read if you'd like to as well. We have got the foredeck cushions on, so it's a little bit dark, but there is a long strip of glazing all the way along the roof of this cabin, and you have nice long windows either side as well, so there's plenty of natural light. This cabin is en suite, it's the only bathroom down here. It's a good size, but it is shared with the twin guest cabin. There's a twin to port here. Not quite as luxurious as this one, but you've got two good sized berths, decent amount of storage, and there's a nice big window in there as well, so natural light is good. There's a lot of electronic wizardry in this small corner of the boat. First of all, you have the table here, which goes up and down electronically, and I like that you don't have to hold the button down to make it do it. Same here with the television, press a button, up it pops, gets on with it on its own. And then you have the helm seat. Really wasted space if it's facing forward when the boat's stationary, no one wants to sit there, but press this button, the backrest slides forward, the whole thing drops down, and it now meets this big square seating area. Much more sociable solution. In fact, the only thing that isn't electronically controlled around here is the side door, which you have to grab and shut as so. We haven't had a chance to look at the master cabin yet, but luckily for me I've landed it for the night, so we have a bit of a closer look now. As you can see, it's very luxurious, full beam, hull windows both sides, nice comfortable double bed. You can walk around both sides, get into bed very easily. You have flat screen TV, you have a chaise longue on this side, a bit more storage on this side, and of course a separate ensuite with a separate shower cubicle and plenty of storage. But now it's time to put my head down. Good night. That's a pretty excellent night's sleep. You should go and check out the view from the master cabin as well, looking out over Cannes Old Town. Pretty special place to wake up.
After a saunter past the super yachts and a typically French breakfast, it was time to head out to sea and put the 520 through its paces.
So we're heading from Cannes around Cap d'Antibes to Villefranche now, and there's a little bit of a swell kicking up, some white horses galloping about, so we're getting a better idea of how this boat handles slightly rougher conditions. Now this boat only has IPS 600 as its engine option, so you have two 435 horsepower diesels, which isn't a huge amount of horsepower for a boat of this size, so you really have to take quite a relaxed attitude to cruising on this boat. 20 to 22 knots is a sweet spot when it comes to fast cruising. Top speed, Prestige say, is 28 knots, but we haven't seen much more than 26 and a half today on a boat that hasn't got an enormous spec on it. So it's best just to sit back, relax, and let the hull do the work, because it's a competent hull. It's pushing through these conditions nice and easily, really dry ride, and it trims nice and flat as well. The view from this helm position is very good. The steering is similarly laid back. The equivalent Sunseeker or Princess, they're going to be more engaging boats to drive. Initial turning is good and the steering is lovely and light, only 3 turns lock to lock, but it soon flattens off and it has quite a wide turning circle. So it is best just to keep on the straight and narrow and let the hull soak up the lumps and bumps and not try too hard to steer around the sea. Something I do like is this lower helm position. You're really nice and close to everything. The wheel, though it's offset, it's within easy reach as the throttles, and you can sit right back with your back against the backrest and you're good and close to the dash. Now though the IPS engines are quite small and I have slight reservations about how good performance will be deep into the season with a bit of growth on the hull and lots of cruising cut on board, they are lovely and quiet when you're cruising at a speed like this. 20-22 knots in not an insignificant sea, and you barely register that the engines are running. They're really tucked away down there in the background. Makes the boat a very relaxing long distance cruiser. I've spent a lot of time driving from up here on the flybridge today. In general, the Helm Station is very good. It's nice and clear, really easy to use, everything is laid out very nicely. You've got a great view of the chart plotters, and also if you stand up and look behind you, you can see through the flybridge hatch down to the bathing platform, which is really handy for when you're berthing. I just wish they would give you some adjustment for this bench, because when you're sat back in your seat, everything is just a little bit too far away. The steer wheel's okay, but the throttles are a stretch away, the plotters are a stretch away. It'd be good if everything was just that little bit closer to you. So we just had a really nice sort of half an hour, 40-minute cruise over from Cannes to where we are now in Villefranche, anchored tucked in the corner here in about 7 metres. The boat dealt with those conditions really well. There was quite a swell running with us and it stayed lovely and dry. And 20 to 22 knots is a real sweet spot for this boat. It feels very comfortable. It's a very easy cruising companion at that speed. But now it's time to break out the lunch.
During our time on board the 520, it proved itself to be a very capable package. It's a very handsome boat that manages to combine a spacious and very private 3-cabin, 2-bathroom interior without appearing top-heavy and maintaining a sleek profile that its rivals can't match. There is a question mark as to whether these small engines will provide satisfactory performance when the boat is weighed down with a full cruising load. However, with a starting price of €775,000 including VAT, it represents good value for money in contrast to its immediate competitors.